Hello everyone, I am Sheva. Today we've got some important updates in the world of email marketing that you won't want to miss. Recently, Gmail and Yahoo have both announced significant changes to their email authentication requirements and spam prevention policies set to take effectively in February 2024. Let's dive into that topic right away with Alkan. Alkan, what are the key changes in Gmail and Yahoo?
Email senders who send about 5,000 emails a day are actually required to authenticate their domain name, their email sending records, and in addition to just regular settings. So they need to require their SPF records, TKIM records, and they also need to put some DMARC records to their email domain settings so that they can still send to the inboxes of their email contacts. Otherwise, Yahoo and Gmail will put those senders into the spam folders if those emails are not authenticated properly. So these are significant changes. So our users, our viewers need to just take some action, especially in this month, because this will gonna take effect on February 2024, which is next month. So yeah, so those are the important changes, Shawar.
Alkan, you said our viewers, but who's exactly impacted by these changes?
Yes, so bulk email senders generally, which means that so bulk email senders meaning that if you guys are sending newsletters, if you guys are sending email outreach emails to your contacts, and if those numbers are significant, meaning that like hundreds of emails, if you're sending like hundreds of emails a day, we also encourage you to just set up this authentications. I mean, in the guideline of Google Gmail, it says that especially for those who send about 5,000 emails a day from one domain, it will be required to just set up these extra records, extra settings. But we also encourage people who may not send, who are not sending that amount of emails. But again, it's a good practice to just set those in place so that they can still deliver their emails into the inboxes of their email contact lists.
So how can they adapt to these changes?
Yes, so it's a little bit technical thing. So it starts mainly with the domain name settings. So they need to access their DNS management system. So if they're not familiar with those kind of settings, they may ask their people, or they can just look for wherever they just bought their domain name. Actually, generally, the DNS management system just happens to be in the same name, in the same company of the domain name purchasing. So they need to just look for, first of all, they should look for management settings. Once they have that setting in place, in hand, they need to come up with their, so 3 records are important. One of them is what we call SPF records. So they need to put some SPF records. So we will provide some detailed description by the end of this video. So what is this all about and how they can set up. But in a nutshell, SPF records mean that they need to authenticate, they need to tell from their domain name settings that the IP addresses that they want to send emails from needs to be declared on their SPF records. So this is the one thing. So SPF records. The second thing they need to do is they need to authenticate their domain name with any email service that they're using. Let's assume that they are using Amazon, or they are using SendGrid, or they are using Gmail, whatsoever. They need to authenticate their domain name with those vendors. For that, each email service provider actually has a specific domain name authentication process. So they can just look for the domain name authentication process for each of the vendor. What this mainly means is that they need to just each email service provider actually gives some CNAME records for the specific domain name. And after receiving those CNAME records, they need to put the CNAME records into their domain names settings again. So DKIM is this. So the third one is the mark. So the mark records means that actually it's a kind of a little bit like a handshake between SPF and DKIM. So you need to have a mark record in hand. Generally, mark records means that what should the email service providers do once they receive emails from like unauthenticated maybe actors. So like if the SPF and DKIM records don't match, you can just deck 3 different policy. One of them is reject all of the messages if the records are not matching. The first one, you can say that, okay, just reject. I have a reject policy, which means that you are saying that, so okay, so these are my SPF and DKIM records. If you can't match them, reject the message from my domain address. So you're preventing your domain name from unauthorized, actually scammers, like phishing attacks, spoofing attacks, stuff like that. So you're just in collaboration with Gmail, Yahoo, and all other email service providers in that sense. So you're rejecting it. The second one is you can set a quarantine policy. Quarantine policy means that so SPF and DKIM handshake didn't happen, but don't reject, but you can just be suspicious about it. You can put it into the spam folder for this message, or you can just maybe again say that just be suspicious about it. Maybe this is an insecure attempt from our system. Why you do that? Because it's a little bit complicated. Sometimes you may not include each email server, each email domain, each domain name or each IP address, because you're just whitelisting actually those things, so that you are just declaring to Google or Yahoo, Gmail and Yahoo about that. So sometimes you may just fail to do that. So that's why actually you may just put some quarantine. So the third one is, I mean, you can say that, okay, even though this doesn't match all the emails. So you can also say that. But at the end of the day, what Google says, Gmail says that just you need to have a kind of a demarc policy. So for demarc policy, in order to have a demarc policy, you again use your domain name DNS management system, and you put some demarc. So yeah, so that's mainly what you should do, demarc policy. So those are the records actually. We need to have that records. What else we need to have? We need to have a couple of more things. So first of all, we need to again limit our email sending activity. We need to just keep track of our domain name reputation, so-called. So what does this mean is that actually you need to keep track of the email sending activity. If the emails are bouncing, if you have complaint rates. So those are the important things. So what we advise, what we suggest is that just limit your email sending activity first, and then increase steadily by keeping track of your bounce rate and spam rate. So those are the things. And to be on the safe side, actually, keeping your email sending activity below 5,000 emails a day is one of the best solutions. So if you want to send a newsletter to to 15,000 contacts, just divide it to 3 or 4 a day, so that you still maybe under this threshold of 5,000 emails a day threshold. So the other thing is actually, so the spam rate or complaint rate, the same thing, should be under 3 out of 1,000. So you're sending 1,000 emails. At most, you can have 3 complaints, 3 spam reports, which is a little bit, people mistakenly can just hit this is spam. So some people actually, instead of deleting that, they can just, mark it as spam. So those are, a little bit, very strict, actually, rules, but we'll see what will happen. So you need to have under that threshold of spam rates. So the third thing that you should have is you should always include an unsubscribe link at the bottom of your emails. And in addition to that, it should be just in one click. People people need to be able to just unsubscribe it in just one click. So it should be easy. It shouldn't be like small, hidden unsubscribe link. It should be open. It should be big. It should be actionable, and it should have in one click. They need to be able to. People need to be able to unsubscribe if they don't want to receive any emails from you. So those are the things that should be, taken into consideration. And yeah, so that's what we advise.
Or they will mark as spam.
Yeah, the problem is actually they will be ending up in the spam folders, which is the unwanted situation actually. So because the all this email marketing activity actually is dependent on how your messages, your emails are delivered to the recipients. So it should be in their inbox, and it should be actually personalized. It should be engaged, opened, clicked kind of emails. So so those are the things that people should be careful and should just prepare themselves in this month in January 2024.
And you mentioned 5K emails per day. Did you mention, was it for Gmail and Yahoo only? But we should also send 5 the most in any email marketing software too, or is it just for Gmail and Yahoo?
Yeah. So the obvious explanation from Gmail is, so they are saying that Gmail says that it should be under 5,000 emails a day from a specific domain that's been sent to Gmail users. So those restrictions are, the numbers are for only Gmail, users used to be under 5,000 emails a day from one domain. So this is the obvious kind of explanation. And if it is above 5,000, people still be able to just send those emails, but they should be compliant with every domain authentication, email authentication rules that I've explained beforehand. And also all the measures of spam rates, one-click unsubscribes, and SPF, DKIM, and the macro records should be in place. So if they're under 5,000, they don't say anything about what should be done. But again, we just advise the same thing. If you're above 5,000, still let's comply with those rules so that your domain delivery and your email activity may be more successful.
Okay, then I think that's it for today, Alkan. What do you think?
Yes, I hope this video will be helpful for our viewers. So yeah, if they have any questions, they can just leave a comment. Would be more than happy to answer that. Yeah, and they can just stay tuned. We will have more videos coming in.
Yeah, so they can subscribe to our YouTube channel too, right?
Correct.
And like our video too. Take care.